I spent 12 hours hunting for hurricane caches for science. I looted exactly 100 caches, and in this video I'll show you everything that I got. And then I'm going to calculate some stats for you so that you know what to expect if you want to do this. And at the end, I'll answer the question, is this the best blueprint farm in the game? And honestly, the answer might surprise you. Before I started, I had 14 unique blueprints and about $590,000 in net worth. So we'll see how much cash I have and how many unique blueprints I end up with. For almost all the raids, I didn't load in on a free kit because I wanted to have a safe pocket. I loaded in with a green looting augment and a light shield. I had just one weapon and 8 to 10 adrenaline shots. Trust me, you're gonna use most of them. In my PvE hurricane lobbies, basically everyone is looking for these caches, so you're gonna want to be as fast as possible. So with that in mind, if you spawn at 20 minutes or even later on in the raid, you can most likely chalk that one entirely. Although there were a few times I got lucky and I found some stashes late in the raid, most of the time I was not lucky and I just wasted my time. To find these caches, I used Metaforge, and I should mention that the caches are not a guaranteed spawn, so if you don't hear that little beeping noise after running around for a few seconds, it's time to move on to the next spot. Now I should mention Metaforge and also headphones are necessary because you're going to have a tough time finding these caches without using both of those. Now I have a bunch more tips I could give, but I don't want to bore you too much, so go ahead and comment if you want a full in-depth guide to finding these caches, because at this point I'm probably one of, if not the most experienced person in the world at doing exactly this. I'd find it hard to believe that anyone else would subject themselves to such torture. Anyways, like I said, it took me about 12 to 13 hours of straight gaming to find all 100 caches, which equals out to about 8 caches found per hour. And out of all these caches, I found 57 blueprints in total. So with our clean 100 number, we know that that means I had a 57% chance of getting a blueprint out of any hurricane cache. But I should say 100 isn't a massive sample size, so don't take my numbers at face value. But with that being said, with my numbers, 57% chance of getting a blueprint, we got about 4 to 5 blueprints per hour. Which honestly doesn't sound that bad in my opinion, but full transparency, I actually have not farmed for blueprints in any other way, so I don't know if it's great or not. I also started with just 2 weapons in my stash, an Anvil 4 and a Renegade 4, and after 100 caches we have 42 weapons, and on screen now you can see all the good guns that I got. I don't think these rare weapons I got from caches, I think I just stumbled upon them. I could be wrong though, my brain is kind of mush right now. But I also ended up selling a lot of the green weapons in particular, so I can't give you an exact weapon probability for these caches. But you'll most likely find at least one gun, but it's not guaranteed. Sometimes I found 2 weapons and a blueprint, and other times all I found were grenades and white heals. Speaking of that, you'll find tons and tons of all types of grenades and white heals. Nothing too crazy, no trailblazers, deadlines, or anything like that. But if you're low on heals like herbals, smoke grenades, impact grenades, you'll get a bunch of Vita shots and all that sort of stuff, you can easily stock up if you take the time to find some of these caches. The only rare items I would get are these Exodus modules and magnetic accelerators. I got 16 magnetic accelerators and 11 Exodus modules. I'm sure there's probably a better way of getting those, but I figured I'd mention it. But now it's finally time for the good stuff. Let's go ahead and count up these blueprints. But first, now that I have your attention, I want to shout out my other content, which is very different from this. It's more cinematic and story driven. So if you're looking for more narrative Arc Raiders content, check out my One Life series. The playlist will be up top here and also at the end screen. But enough of that, let's get right into these blueprints. The most blueprints that I got are Bobcat, Tempest, and Volcano. There's no question that the loot is heavily weighted for you to receive these rare blueprints, which honestly I feel like is a massive W, because I know for a fact that a lot of people grind for hours to never receive these blueprints. I was able to find 18 Bobcat blueprints, 11 Tempest blueprints, and 11 Volcano blueprints. And of course, since we did 100, you can take these numbers as a very rough percentage. Again, 100 is just too small of a sample to give you 100% reliable numbers, but it is enough to give you a decent idea about what to expect. And the observant among you will notice that these numbers aren't the same that you're seeing in my stash. That's because I gave away 1 Volcano. I lost 2 Bobcats to a Rocketeer and a Sentinel turret, and I did consume one of my Vita sprays. So in total, we got 11 unique blueprints. Here's everything that we got. 18 Bobcat, 11 Tempest, 11 Volcano, 7 Vita Spray, 3 Explosive Mine, 2 Batina, 1 Anvil, 1 Extended Light Mag 3, 1 Heavy Gun Parts, 1 Torrente, and 1 Venator. Out of all of these blueprints, I already had the anvil and the patina, so we started out with 14 blueprints, and we ended up with a mere 23 unique blueprints, which is a little bit underwhelming. And when we started this grind, I had $590,000 to my name, and by the end I had over 1.7 million, which is of course about $1.1 million in profit, which is not bad. So finally, to answer the question from the intro, is this the best blueprint farm in the game? Well, probably not. Now, as I said earlier, I've never really grinded blueprints like that before. I haven't even hit max level before. I've only had about 50 hours on the game before this, and a lot of that time was spent doing random stuff, such as the 1 life challenge. So in other words, I could be wrong in this opinion, but I only got 9 new blueprints and 46 duplicates. So I feel like there's probably better ways to go about getting all the 74 or whatever it is different unique blueprints. With that said, this probably is the best way to get the Bobcat, Tempest, Volcano, and Vita Spray blueprints. And since a lot of people have been looking for these and haven't found them, myself included, I think it's a great feature of these caches because they're some of the rarest items in the game. Basically, if you're looking for one of those 4 blueprints, hit the caches. If you're looking to fill out your account with all 74 blueprints, I would probably use a different method. So finally, a little recap. We got 57 blueprints from 100 caches. I was able to find about 8 or 9 caches per hour, therefore about 4 to 5 blueprints per hour. The most caches I found in one raid was 7. I also found 6 on one raid at the Blue Gate and Dam Battlegrounds respectively. And if I was you, I would probably steer clear of Spaceport. It was honestly so painful. There was so much running, and it's so open, so you're running into the wind half the time. It kind of just sucked, I can't lie. So out of all 57 blueprints, 40 of them was either a Bobcat, Tempest, or Volcano, which is about a 70% chance to get one of these 3 if you pull a blueprint, or a 40% chance to get one of them from a cache. For Bobcat, it's an 18% chance to get one from a cache and a 31% chance to get it as your blueprint. For both Tempest and Volcano, it's a 19% chance to get one as your blueprint or an 11% chance to get one from a cache. We also got a ton of good Venators, Renegades, Torrentes, and Ospreys, the weapons, not the blueprints, so it could be a pretty good way to stock up if you don't have those blueprints yet. We also found a good amount of Anvils, Arpeggios, and Berlettas. Anyways, that's all I got. Be sure to check out my 1 life playlist. I spent a stupid amount of time in attempts to make some good bingeable narrative content, so it would mean the world to me if you could check it out. Go ahead and hit like, and most importantly subscribe on your way out, and you have a splendid rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Peace.